Hey guys, happy snow day. I hope you're all safe and warm. There will be no class meeting today, and there will be no Zoom or anything like that. I know some of you have Maya, some of you do not, so I figured just doing kind of a short video here going over what I'm looking for Monday would be better than having us all meet. That being said, if you have any questions, obviously don't hesitate to reach out. So what I'd like for you to do for class on Monday is finish the hammer that you started last class. Again, most important thing is that it is clean, right? We're working in edge loops. We're working in edge loops. So you're going to finish the hammer from last class and you're going to create a knife using the file attached here. You can do it in the same Maya file if you would like, or you can do it in two separate Maya files. I'm fine either way, but I need you to submit one or two Maya files and one or two screenshots showing your work. When you do the screenshot, I need to see that your outliner is showing. So remember, window outliner, so that I can see very quickly that you've done it from one shape, and then obviously I need your Maya file so I can take a closer look. Okay, due before class on Monday. You're watching the video and the announcements, so good for you. All right, so the knife is going to be very similar to the hammer. It's just a little bit more smooth, right? We've got some nice curves going on here. I use the pen tool just to kind of outline the blade. Now this top view is not a perfect top view. Why am I not giving you perfect examples? Because I want you to see how big of a difference things can make, and that way when we go to make our own model sheets, you know, okay, I really need to pay attention to angle, to my rulers, and how these things line up. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to focus on our front view, and then we'll kind of use this as a guide, but we'll edit our top view a little. Now we're using a top view instead of a side, if you want to call this the side, then instead of the front. I've also put both of these in one file, so I just want you guys to get used to different ways of doing things. All right, so just like we did last class, front or side, whichever one you want to do, I'm going to go to View, Image Plane, Import Image. I just have this on my desktop as knife, open, and then top, View, Image Plane, Import Image. I'm going to do the same image. So knife, open. Okay, now these image planes can move. So this is when we're going to pay attention to our grid. I'm going to make my front view a little bit larger. I'm going to hide the grid so that we're not in the way. But we can see this kind of green line here is my middle, my point here. So I'm going to actually move this down a bit, and you can use, whichever view you want. Obviously, I'm going to need my grid back to be able to kind of see further. But then in my top view, I'm going to bring my top image. And now remember, this isn't 100% of a perfect top view, but I'm going to get it pretty close. And now I can see that I've got these, fairly aligned. Now don't forget, I can click and drag over both of them, go into my channel box over here, layer, create layer from selected. Double click on it, knife layer, or knife sketch, whatever you want it to be. Save that. This V here is for visible, and this third box over here that's empty, T is for transparent, R is for reference, so now I can't move it. Okay? I'm kind of moving a little bit faster here, knowing that you guys can pause and rewind. So I'm still going to use a cube. Up to you how you want to start. I have a tendency to start more with the handle and then extrude my blade out, but again, personal preference and always 200 ways to do things. Now, Jen, there's like some curves here. Yeah, we'll get that. So I'm going to do just about the size of the blade here. I'm going to turn on X-ray, shading X-ray here so I can see. And now I know I'm going to need some subdivisions because this part is smaller, then it starts to go up. So I'm going to start with about 4 subdivisions. So I'm going to go over to my attribute editor, polycube 1, 4, and I'm going to make things a little bit even, so I want to bring at least 1 edge loop in all dimensions. Okay? Now I can go into edge mode. If I double click on the edge, you can see I have 8 edges selected, so that's what I'm looking for. Double click, get my gizmo out of the way. It's only selecting 2 here, so I'm going to have to make a different selection. But double click here. I'm just going to move this whole edge loop up. Same thing over here. I've got 8 selected. Move that up. I'm going to need to look in my perspective view because it's only selecting those 2, so I can hold shift and double click and it'll grab on each side. Now I see I have 8. I can go back in my front view here. Now this I can move. I can also rotate. So let's really try to match our drawing here. Okay. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see my edges started to get a little crazy. They're not in a perfect line. So that's when I just go into vertex mode and select. You can scale in either direction, and now they're in a perfect line. And now I'm going to move these to fit my drawing. I want to kind of keep the vertices centered. So see how I brought that center line down a little bit so that this top one and the next one are equal? And remember, I'm clicking and dragging to grab the vertices that are behind it. And we're just getting the base idea here. It's nothing too crazy because we're still dealing with a low poly model. So I can't really get all that smoothness yet because I don't have the edges to do so. Okay, so then how do I go about doing the blade? Well, I'm going to extrude these front faces, but before I do, it's important that I look at my top view. Okay, so I'm going to go into object mode. I'm going to scale this out a bit. Now, this is where you can use your creative freedom. What do you think this should look like? Well, I think, kind of over here, if I'm in vertex mode, I'm going to scale these because they don't look to be perfectly aligned. Boop, now they are. But if I'm in my top view, I'm going to grab these and move them in because it's going to get thinner as we go towards the blade. You can, instead of moving vertices, if I scale, and I'm only going to pull in this blue, yellow one down here, it's making it thick or thinner. Maybe I want these ones to be a little bit thicker, and this is going to kind of be rounded, and I actually want to pull this out. I think this is a little too extreme. Okay. Anyway, you guys know what you're doing at this point. I feel like you guys are able to do this successfully. So let's keep going. So I'm going to go in face mode. I'm going to grab these front faces. My gizmo's in the way, so I'll hit Q. All right, I've got my 4 front faces. Edit mesh, extrude. I'll look in my front view. We can move this out to where maybe the blade starts. Hotkey G to redo my last action. And I'll do an extrude and scale it up and move it out. G redoes my last action. I'll do an extrude, I'll pull it out. G, move tool, pull it out. Let me turn off X-ray so you can see more. G, extrude, and lost what I was doing because I turned on X-ray. Okay, Now I can scale along the way if that's what I would like, or I can go back and edit after the fact. So I'm going to bring these to be closer together and move them up. I also think I want the middle section to come out to the point. So I'll pull all of these back and down a bit. So it's just following this drawing basically, and then adding whatever flourishes, flares, whatever you want. Oops. Okay. So it's just getting some extra practice using model sheets and trying to use the tools that we've talked about. Now I talked about maybe trying to kind of center things, so I'm going to move those edges down, bring these down together. Maybe I'll bring all of these back a little bit to go towards that kind of tip of the blade. I'll bring these over and down. Okay, so then it's going to be about going into that top view and adjusting, but I'm starting to get a blade. Now the top view is going to get a little bit tricky for you, and you may need to use the perspective, because if I want this to look like an actual blade, I need the actual blade. Right now, this is just a block. So what you're going to need to do is, whatever mode you want to go in, but I'm going to click and drag to select these bottom vertices, and then I'm going to need to scale them in. And you're going to need these kind of outer ones to follow suit so it doesn't look all crazy. But you're going to need it, whatever thickness you want the top to start at, but then the bottom is going to need to come together. So I'll click and drag. I see I've got 5 vertices. That's what I want. Bring them in. I can hold Shift to deselect vertices. Oh, Gizmo is giving me issues today. I'll scale these together even more. Boop. Okay, so it's up to you, and you can see if you want to merge things, extrude. You can add even further edge loops. We can look if I hit 3 and what the smooth would look like. But I want to see a knife along with your hammer. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. Again, stay safe in the snow. Maybe go outside and play in it if you can. And I will see you all on Monday. All right, have a great day.